Hi guys, and welcome to episode 12 of the Terriers Talk podcast. We're delighted to be joined by Jack again to review a very dull week at Huddersfield Town. Nothing really happened of much significance. We did secure our status and we will be playing Championship football next year, which was a thought we weren't really concerned about at the start of the season, as we thought we'd have quite a decent season, but things have happened. We're going to review the Coventry game today. I'm going to look forward to Reading, which is our final game of the season. Thank God. It was a very, very dull affair at Coventry. I think literally just 2 goals and nothing else happened of note. Coventry opened the scoring, and I think we ought to talk about our goalkeeper, Ryan Schofield, as opposed to the kind of strike. You were saying before we went kind of live, Jack, that it was more of a mistake than a good finish. Just kind of expand on that.
Yeah, just during the commentary of the game, Oggy was insistent that it was a deflection. It absolutely wasn't a deflection. It was Shipley, I believe. I don't know his first name, but Shipley definitely scored the goal for Coventry. It's a decent. He's made good connection with it. He's got some swerve on it, but it's not something that a Championship keeper, or I'll be brutally honest, any keeper should be letting in the net, because it was virtually straight at him. I've defended Ryan Schofield a lot, and I will continue to, because I like him. I think he's got all the makings of a top keeper. That's not a popular view. I don't think it's not the popular view at the moment, especially on social media. But yeah, he's had a howler. I think, to put it nicely. It didn't matter in the end of it. It probably wouldn't have mattered even if we did lose and we didn't. Danny Ward didn't get that equaliser, but he's not done himself any favours. And I think there'll be a lot of calls in the summer to bring in a new number one from a lot of the fans. Whether that happens, I don't know. Who am I to say? Who are we all to say? But it wasn't great, was it? But there's not much more to say about that. So I'll let Ben talk about probably the biggest positive of the week. Well, definitely the biggest positive of the week. Danny Ward's first goal since returning. So Ben, what are you?
Well, I mean, just on the topic of the goal that we conceded, it was again kind of, rather than it being the opposition being good or having a good moment, it was us once again undoing ourselves, either through defensive errors or goalkeeping errors, and that's been season pretty much in the whole. But Danny Ward, again, his first goal after I think 44 games. I don't want to put him down, because obviously he's had a rough time with injuries and everything, but at this level, and to say where we want to be competing, I think that we do need to look in the striker market in the summer, which I think everybody already knew, but I think it really just, the fact that he's got his goal now, I think it's a nice note with the touch to Jordan Sinnott, and it's a brilliant goal, to be fair. The way that he struck the ball, it does require a lot of technique. I think again we've got a bit lucky with how it's gone in. I don't think Coventry should be getting into that situation, and against a team that are potentially a bit better off, we're not going to have chances like that, which it makes me question kind of, if we hadn't got that goal, would we go forward and try and get a goal later on, and would we have been able to get one, which is a worry. But once again, that has been something of concern all season. But it's a great goal, and he's dedicated it to Jordan Sinnott, which you really cannot fault at all, and it puts a nice touch and a nice way to end the last home game of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really happy for Wardy, and I think you're right in saying that we do need to invest, especially in the market for strikers, because when you're employing 7 strikers, you expect a decent return. I think it's 7. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, when you've got that amount of strikers, you're expecting a good return. And I think next season, if we want to kind of push to the mid-table or even further, I mean, look what Barnsley have done in basically 3 quarters of the season. We do need that prolific scorer. And as well as that prolific scorer, I think we do need team players. I think we need well-rounded team players and players that can gel. And I was speaking to a few mates when I said I'd rather have kind of 5 or 6 distributed goal scorers than one goal scorer who scores 30 goals a season. For example, Ivan Toney, because you can always kind of rely on players like Ivan Toney. But if they're not firing, the team's not going to be doing very well. So I think next season is definitely a season for players for players proving that they can fit in Carlos's side. And moving on swiftly to the final game of the season, which is a bit crazy. Now we think about it, we haven't kind of seen the John Smiths in one full season, which is sad, but better days are coming. Reading away. It's gonna be a test, but I think we all agree that now we're safe and we will be playing Championship football next season. That we would like to see some youth players, and I'll start with you, Jack, because I know you're a massive admirer of one Brahima Diarra. How much would it mean for Brahima to kind of get a little run out on at the weekend?
It would mean a lot for me, but no, it would be brilliant for him. I think this game, they can't get playoffs, we can't go down. I think the pressure's going to be off both sides, and to a degree, it's a chance for both sides to express themselves and flourish. I imagine Reading have a good wealth of young talent coming through as well that might get some minutes, or maybe not. What do I know? But I think Diarra, at least off the bench, should be playing. He's only 17, 18. He's just gone 18, I think. But he really should be playing. He's at the age now where he can start to play men's football and can start to get into the game. Whether he starts or comes off the bench, I don't know. But yeah, definitely. Because he's got talent and he is the future. We've put in a lot of trust in our academy and our B team. So players like Diarra need minutes. I also want to see if I could make a wish list to start Romany Critchlow again. Been a short while since we've seen him. But Scott High, you've seen him off the bench a few times. I think it's fair enough that maybe he could finally get that start. Jaden Brown, maybe we haven't seen a lot of. There's a lot of players, I think. There's one I want to ask you about, Ben, who we haven't seen a lot of. There's not really been talk of injury, and that's Kieran Phillips. So what do you think's happened with Kieran Phillips, and can you see him maybe getting some minutes at Reading?
I think that Phillips he's been kind of a victim of us bringing in people from the free market, such as Yai Sanogo and Niasse. Yes, neither of them have really, well, Niasse hasn't really featured where Sanogo has, which has meant that we've had Sanogo, Ward and Campbell in the matchday squad, which means that Phillips hasn't really had the chance to come up. And I think it's quite unfortunate because when he has played, he's looked quite promising, and I really wouldn't be opposed to seeing him next Saturday against Reading, because I think he could pose a threat. But I mean, it's a massive chance to prove to decide that they are worth keeping and they are worth putting the faith in, because next season there will probably be quite a lot of investment from clubs across the Championship, and if we want to be able to invest smartly, we need to kind of have a look at the youth squad and be like, hang on a minute, can any of them make the step up? And I think Reading is a vital game for players that want to stay or are fighting for a contract here still, or players that are wanting to get a place in the first team, like Josh Groma, for example, did last year. Even though he didn't really have that kind of last game of the season to prove himself, I think that the youth players this season do kind of need that chance where they can go, we're safe, there's nothing really to play for, but rather to show that we can actually prove it at this level. And I think that, like you said, Diarra, Phillips, they need to step up to the plate, and I think they can do it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's safe to say that our fans have had a very, very frustrating year, and that many are fed up with this season, and rightly so. How much of a respite is it going to be for our fans, and how important do you think, I'll ask any of you, is it for our board to really smartly invest this summer? Because we've been kind of the victims of our own downfall in the past 3-4 years. I think the Wagner season where we went up was it was a masterclass in recruitment, and I don't think we've really had a successful year since in terms of recruitment. It is vital that we get it on point, isn't it, lads?
Yeah, totally. I think that you can pinpoint the biggest move we need to make this summer, and that's a new director of football. Because, as you say, that season with Stuart Webber, bringing in the players early, getting it done. I want to say clinical because he got what we needed and he got it done quickly and efficiently. And that's what we need again because, yeah, you're right, the fans are frustrated. We're fans, we're frustrated. And we want to see players who are good enough coming through the door. I know people want Phil and the board to spend money. And I agree to an extent, but I think that the value is more getting players who are good enough, like your Pippa, like your Toffolo, not chucking wads of cash at it like Borough, Forest have done, Derby as well, who are in all sorts of trouble now. I want us to spend, but I want us to spend smartly, like that season where we didn't spend a lot, but we had a lot of success. But you're absolutely bang on, nail on the head. We do need to do a lot more this summer, and it's vital. I'm in the belief that Carlos Corberán needs to stay because I think he's been, for want of a better word, done over by injuries and perhaps not good enough business in both windows he's had, whether that's his fault or not. So I think he needs more time. Ben, I want to know what you think about that. What do you think about Carlos?
Yeah, I think he's got his critics, and I think it's fair to the people that do have the criticisms of him because I can see both aspects of it. I can see results haven't been good enough this year. Everybody knows that, but at the same time, I think that if you give him the squad that we had last year, then we're performing to such a better level. You know, if he has a proven goal scorer that doesn't get injured all season, then we're mid-table minimum, in my opinion. If we have Stankovic at the back, if we have a fit Schindler all season, we have Emile Smith-Rowe, we have Lewis O'Brien, how he was last season. It's a completely different story. And I do think that what Danny Cowley did last season with his squad was good, and I respect him for us keeping him up. But I think with the squad that we have, we potentially underachieved a little bit. So I think the comparisons between Cowley and Corberán are just they're not really fair to have. So I'm fully behind Corberán, and I do think that over the next few seasons, whether that's next season as mid-table, then season after we push for playoffs or whatever, I do think he will be the man to take us forward. And if we risk sacking another manager, then it's just going to be another heavy fee that we're going to have to pay, and we'll have spent more on sacking managers and hiring managers in the past few years than we will have done transfers. And that's, as a club, if we want to attract new managers in, that's not going to exactly look too attractive to other managers that want to come in. So I think that we have to stick with Carlos, and it is a project, and I think everybody can see that's a project. In the statement that the board did a few months ago, I think it was with HTSA, they said that it'd be 3 to 5 years. And I think that it is very important that we're not kind of sticking to that 3 to 5 years as a key schedule, as we're saying we're going to get promoted in 5 years, but rather that's the time frame that we really want to achieve it in.
Yeah, I completely agree when you say it's a project, and I think that kind of does wrap today's little project up, because we've been through the Coventry game and we've looked ahead to the Reading game. I think we all fully agree that instead of it being a competitive game, it's going to be a very youth-dominated game, and we really hope so, because I think this season hasn't been a season where we can showcase our youth on our first team stage. It's been more of a season where we've had to stay up, and we have to do everything at any cost to stay up. And I do mirror your kind of views, boys, where you say that you back Carlos, you get the results. I think we all know he's a quality manager, and I think we will touch on that when we do our little end of season review in maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I think if you watching want to kind of send in some questions or some thoughts or some topics to discuss, we'd be more than happy to consider those, and we'll kind of get back to you directly. So that was episode 12 of the Terriers Talk. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share it about, and we will see you next week talking about hopefully our win against Reading. So see you later.
See you later, guys.